بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I want to, I'll just sit down. I think it was Winston Churchill who said something like, courage is to stand up and speak, but courage is also to sit down and challenge those who spoke. So I will take the latter, and I appreciate my colleagues for standing up and speaking. I also want to acknowledge all the colleagues here who have the titles of ambassadors. I think me and Hamza are missing the title of ambassador, although I was briefly an ambassador to the UK, but I never advertised that because it was not the greatest experience. But just so you know that I also have that title, but I almost never put it anywhere. I also want to acknowledge Minister Momin Hassan Barre, who's representing the Republic of Djibouti, to officially close this conference, and Sheikh Ahmed Nur Ali Jamale, the great Somali entrepreneur who I think everyone appreciated today for his great efforts and contribution to this region over the past 30 years in the absence of governance. Coming back to the questions that Professor Afiare posited, I would like to say a few things. I think the key question was, what are the key impediments or obstacles to achieving rules-based stability in the Horn of Africa? Here I want to make, perhaps to look at this question from three dimensions. The first dimension is a more of a domestic one that requires us to look ourselves in the mirror in this region and ask the question, why do we not have this rules-based stability that we're talking about? The second dimension is to look at it from a regional dimension, and then the third dimension is an external one, an international dimension to look at it. So let me start with the domestic one. I think someone had already mentioned that we cannot achieve rules-based stability in this region without respecting our own internal rules first. It's not coincidence that many countries in the Horn of Africa are unstable. They are unstable because their leaders are not respecting their own internal rules. The Horn of Africa region is considered to be one of the most unstable regions around the world, and it has been the case now for the better part of the last 40 years. You look at Somalia, now 34 years. You look at Ethiopia, which has been more or less unstable now for the better part of the last 30 years as well. I mean, there are exceptional periods, right, under Meles, but in broad terms, it has been quite unstable and continues to be quite unstable. You look at Sudan now and the horrifying civil war in Sudan. You look at South Sudan, the newest state that just joined the African Union 20 years ago and has been unstable from day one. In my view, the reasons are because our leaders have chosen to actually violate the very rules that they have come power to. And we need to have this accountability, and if we do not have this accountability, we are unable to talk about stability. Stability starts with respecting those rules, playing by the rules, not only when it serves you, but when it also does not serve you. We have seen consistently in this region that politicians, political leaders scream about rules when they are in the opposition, but the minute they get into power, they actually start violating those rules. So I think that's the very first question that we need to think about as we think about stability, at our own countries first. The second dimension, which is the regional dimension, is not very different from the domestic dimension, and that is also countries need to respect each other's, the rules they have set themselves for. When you consider, for example, this region, we have IGAD, which is based here, and then there is now East Africa Community, which we in Somalia have just joined, and other countries are also striving to join. we are also a member of the African Union, and so on and so forth. The issue is, it's not secret that countries, member states of those regional blocs have not been respecting each other. They have been violating each other's sovereignty. They continue to do that to this day. And I believe the MOU that was signed, a year ago, January this year, is a manifestation of violating those rules. When you openly violate, those rules, then you're inviting instability. Our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia cannot expect to be very stable when they are violating other countries' sovereignty. And that has to be said very clearly. We said the same to our Kenyan brothers and sisters when they have tried to take a slice of our ocean as well, maritime border. But at least that was settled through the International Court of Justice, through norms and procedures. And I think to the credit of Kenya, they have accepted the outcome of that rule. So I think that's a key element. So again, respecting the rules that we set for ourselves. The third dimension is the international one, and I think a number of my colleagues have already alluded to the fact that we now live in the post-war order. The world order that was set in after the World War II has now almost entirely collapsed. And the very countries who have written those rules for themselves, these are primarily Western countries, keep that in mind, principally the United States, followed by Europe, and other countries are now violating that. They're violating it in Gaza. I think what's happening in Gaza is obviously a manifestation of how they do not respect the rules they set themselves for. Even now when, Ambassador, as you said, when Netanyahu was called into the International Criminal Court, most European countries have already either denounced it or made it abundantly clear that they're not going to arrest him. The United States is actually trying to, I don't know if you guys know, the US actually has a law called the Hague Invasion Law. Do you know that? And they actually passed this law to invade Hague, which is where the International Criminal Court and ICG are based in the Netherlands, should these courts try to arrest American officials or indict them. Again, what's happening in Gaza right now, I had the privilege of working in Gaza for 3.5 years myself, and I've seen it up front what the Palestinian people face every single day. They were already facing one of the worst conditions around the world, and now they're facing genocide that is supported by the biggest powers around the world. So this is all to say that regional instability unfortunately now is facing the real consequences of the weakened rules-based world order which used to exist maybe a decade or two ago, which no longer exists. So that's my address to the first question, and then I'll just take a few more minutes, perhaps if I have 2 more minutes. Okay, that's more than enough. The other question was, a number of questions spoke about, for example, how can Somalia's neighbors talk about the issue of, or move beyond the buffer zone strategies? Well, there are 2 countries that are obsessed with buffer zones in our region, right? And that's Kenya and Ethiopia. And for a while, a lot of us have said that they have, quote unquote, legitimate security concerns to think about the question of buffer zones. But increasingly, the Somali government is increasingly capable of perhaps preventing some of the security challenges that these countries have. I think, again, if our neighbors think that they will enjoy stability by invading part of Somalia or any other country for that matter, that just won't happen. I think the best way that they can prevent themselves from instability is to respect each other's sovereignty, to respect the rules that we've set ourselves for, and most importantly, to really capitalize on the opportunities we have, trade being a primary one, which it has been discussed over the last few days here. We already have a very robust trade mechanisms that are in place. We've just joined the East Africa Commission, or community, where we are doing, hopefully we're going to be doing a lot of trade. So let me stop here and hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate all. And here we have few facts. We are in the Horn, a region that produces most refugees, a region that has most peacekeepers, a region that has failed states, failing states, collapsed states, a region where overall poverty is one of the lowest. So we have these multiple issues, and yet we at Heritage here are saying, why don't we follow the rules? So I just want you to give it to you. If you have questions, please ask who you want to ask straight, and we will try to accommodate as many questions as possible so that at least this becomes more interactive. Okay, last many times, I think we were starting this part. So this time we will start in the middle. That person, I think I gave it to the next one. Sorry? Okay, go ahead. I'll give you anyway, even though I have given to that person. Go ahead. Yeah, hi, Mike. Yeah? Sexy. Please be brief.
Okay, not only question, and also my idea, yes?
Sorry?
My ideas also, inshallah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Faisal Ahmed Farah. I am a journalist in RTD, Radio and Television of Djibouti. But now I'm talking as a journalist. I'm talking as a Somali. I'm talking about Somali problems. Okay, first of all, I'm very happy to attend this very great conference and to meet these intellectuals, whether they are Somalis and also our non-Somali brothers. I'm very happy. I'm going to talk about, based on the questions that my brother, Mr. Ambassador Mahmoud Direr, why Somali people fail to establish their own powerful and a rule-based government. This is our problem. If we answer to this question, we can do everything in our internal and also external. And also, he said, when Somalis are attending in the international scene, like US, Europe, and any other, even in Kenya, they play great role. Why are not be able to play this great role in their own country? The problem is when they go to those international scene, like the US, in Europe, and even Kenya, there is a rule. There is a rule and norms. They are working according to these rules and regulations.
Brother,
Okay. When we come back to in our country, there is no rule. Everything, we have two problems: tribalism and corruption. Our political is based on tribal system. Our economy even based in tribal. When we look at the great trade establishments, they based on tribalism, economy and trade. When we come to the government, everything is corrupt. Corruption is not only abusing finance, not only abusing rules, not only abusing politics and power. If we correct
okay, can you go to your
we can do everything in our internal and also international. We have to be free from tribalism and corruption.
Thank you very much. Can you give to that person after? Okay.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. عبد الوهاب الطيب بشير. I'm from Sudan. Thanks very much to Heritage Institute for this a very important and highly forum take care about our region and our countries. And also appreciating and thanks all the panelists about what they telling us or their opinion about our Horn of Africa. So briefly, I want to say or to ask the panelists about two things. The politicalization of our peace and security and stability. In my opinion, I'm not believe that we can get peace and we can get security while we are affecting and suffering from politicalization from outside or interference of regional and international, and even the internal actors like what happened Al-Shabaab movement are used in duality. So this is number one, politicalization of our issues.
Okay, brother.
So number two,
quick, yeah.
the targeting. The targeting. What happened in Sudan, in my opinion, is targeting. What happened in Somalia, in my opinion, is targeting. What happened in Gaza, in my opinion, is targeting. So why we are targeting? Why Somalia targeting? Why Sudan targeting? And we are targeting by whom? From whom? This is a very important question we should have to ask. Where and when we can stop this targeting? So there is many questions we should have to answer. So as to get and achieve our stability, our peaceful situation, to be in our country, not to be refugees, not to be displaced. Thank you so much.
Okay, brother. Professor Abdul Wahab has presented his paper here. I want to give it to Zubaydah and to that girl as well, those two. So then we will move to the presenters.
Assalamu alaikum. This question is directed to Ambassador Mohammed Dirir, and I'm sorry in advance to place you in this situation to respond to my question. But given Ethiopia's historical involvement in Somali regions, does your statement, state formation is not complete in the Horn, suggest the ongoing interest in Somali territory by Ethiopia? Thank you.
So the girl there.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. waxaan jeclaan lahaa walaal cali inuu ii turjumo Soomaaliya aan su'aasheeda dhammaan wiilasha halkaan fadhiyana ku weydiiyo. Su'aashii aad ku furteen waxay ahayd caqabadaha hor yaallo Afrika gaar ahaan Horn Afrika maxay tahay. Runtii tusaale waxa igu filan halkaan wiilasha walaalahay fadhiya. Afrika waxaad moodaa dhaqankeedu inuu yahay dhaqan rag, wax walba rag laga wareysto, maarta xalka iyaga laga wareysto, la iska hormariyo bulshada iyaga hormariyo. waddanka waa waddan la wada leeyahay, taladan in la wada lahaada fiicnaadeen. Gabdhihii waa ka maqan yihiin taladii. Hadda dadka la soo cesbay 90% rag bay u badan yihiin. Waxaa fiican talada in la qaybiyo, wax la iska weydiiyo. Tusaale waxaa noogu filan waddanka Rwanda oo taladii ay wax ku lahaadeen gabdhihii. oo horumarka maanta ugu horeeya adduunka. 50% ay gabdhaha labada dhinac bay matalaan, fulinta iyo maaragtay dhinaca sharcigaba. Marka su'aasheedu waxay tahay maxaa dhacay oo looga fikir waayay in dhinac kale loo fikiro, in gabdhaha miiska lala soo fariisto, talada wax ku lahaayaan, xogta iyaga la wareysto, xalkana iyaga la weydiiyo. maxaa ragga ku koobay noloshii Afrika iyo noloshii horumarka maaragtay Afrika marka taas ay ahaan lahayd inaad dhinacaas kale u jeestaan gabdhahana aad fursad siisaan si maaragtay ee wax idinla qabtaan dalkan burburkane waxaan aaminsanahay in gabadha ay kabideeda iyo horumarkeeda ay qayb weyn ka qaadan doonto marka su-aasheedu waxay tahay gabdhaha maxaa loo sii la'yahay fursad ee miis ku fariistaan ee wax ku hagaan loo waraysto mar walbana wiilasha la iskaga hormariyo sababtaasaan rabaa inaan ogaado.
I will just give one more question from this end and then that quick.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is so simple and concise.
Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Yahya. Thank you so much. Okay, my name is Yahya. I am from Hargeisa University. So I want to ask you a question. And this question is going to be like a hypothetical question, okay? And okay, the question is, right now in Somalia, you know, every meeting, every state building, every reconciliation, and a lot of NGOs, a lot of UN, a lot of companies are mainly involved with it. They are giving a seat. So my question is that, what if we kick all NGOs, all UN, all 92 companies of Halan area, all of them, and come together and form a state, a functioning state? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I have to give the panel for concluding remarks of maximum 1 to 2 minutes. I'm told that there is no time. Salat Dhuhr has timid, and I'm basically under the instruction of the bosses. So this time I will start from Ambassador Ayinte. Sorry, you didn't provide that. So.
Good. I don't claim that too. Thank you. I'll be very quick, and I want to pick up from where Yahya left. I think Yahya raised a really good question. I think that's a very novel idea, and perhaps we should actually try it. Those of us who live in Mogadishu see the Halani area, the airport, where you have all these internationals. And actually, sometimes and I know Ambassador Swaif lives there, so I apologize to him, but I routinely ask myself, is this even worth? Because they have been around there too long, and no change has come from. But we also need to look at it from the other dimension, which is, you know, as the Quran says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. We're not going to expect change to come from outside. I've always believed, and continue to believe, that waiting a solution from our friends, whether they are in the African Union or UN or other organizations, is just not going to happen. Solution is within us. I think our leaders have failed us spectacularly in this region, not only in Somalia, but also in Somalia, probably more profoundly. I think it's time for more transformational leadership that really looks beyond how we've been doing business. Because if you actually close your eyes for a second today, look at Somalia, and just remember what happened 5 years ago, the events are exactly the same events. They're folding out in Kismayo, in Mogadishu, in Hargeisa, in Garowe. The players are exactly the same players. It's just that different players are at different corners of the pitch today than they were 5 years ago.
Okay,
that's all I would say.
I have to, yeah. Okay, Ambassador Dirir, about a minute of recap.
Well, it is a very difficult homework. One of the most important things is that we learn from each other. I believe that Somalia does not need babysitting. Somalis can solve their own problems. They have their traditional norms and rules. And I heard that going back to our norms and rules is one way of solving our own problems. One of the communities in this region is now taking its hair to the international level, to the UNESCO. Hair Isa is being taken to the UNESCO to be approved. It has been signed by the Republic of Djibouti, Ethiopia, the federal government, and Somalia. I think all Somalis have their own hair. Very unfortunately, because of foreign interventions and influences, these systems have witnessed challenges. But where it remains intact, and I believe that the Afar people have also mad'ah. Mad'ah is the traditional Afari hair. So looking back and going back to our hair is one way of being, getting rid of babysitting. I think I studied in 1st July, which is now Hargeisa University. So I appreciate your hypothetical question. Thank you.
Okay, Ambassador Adan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And, I traveled to Somalia for the first time on 80s. It was on 1980 and then again on 1981. And then when the state collapsed on 91, I think, the third time that I went to Somalia was on 2006. So from 2006 to today, I think Somalia came a long way. They have shown resilience, they have shown strong commitment and dedication to grow the economy and to build the political stability. But as Mr. Mohammed said, of course, we have experienced some external challenges, and that has undermined the political stability of the country. But we need to start again, reconciliation, dialogue. I think this is the only way to build on the future and to build a strong Somali society. Thank you very much.
Bismillah, waxaan Soomaali baan ku gabagabeynayaa qaybtayda. Waxaa la wacdi sii wad soo wad Ilaahay ka cabso isku iimaana. And I think hadalka nuxurkiisa ugu muhiimsan waxa weeyaan cid kale oo aynu talo ka sugnaa ma jirto. Wada tashigeena iyo inaka un baa loo baahan yahay inaynu maaragtay markii aanan dowladda gobolka Minnesota iyo dowladda Mareykankana dhex gelin dadka dhalinyarada ee activist ahayntay ay xasuustay waxaana aadka u aaminsan maxaana laga rabaa maana la daayo waxaan ogaaday halkay naga maqan inaku dhexdeena ku jiraa waxaan u baahanahay inaynu go into the basics wax kasta inuu baahanahay halkeeda inaka haysanaa wada tashi isku imaanshan bay naga maqan taana Ilaahayna waafajiyo
Mahasant. Once again, thank you very much. And we are doing a lot of exercises. Heritage, this is might be the 8th session. ISS, Interpeace, IGAD, they organize these kind of forums. But what is needed as lesson learned, many things have been said. How are we going to implement those things, those ideas? And this will not be implemented by political leaders, but the civil society, you people, and the international community everywhere. They are everywhere. What is their task is to support the country, is to support the nationals. And Somalia, you are lucky to have ownership, because as I mentioned, we came from very far. 2006, as mentioned by Ambassador, and today, Somali, I believe that in a near future, Somali will be a brilliant country. Somali already left, the list of the failed states. You are doing a very good job, but what you need, the civil society to be involved in what is going on, and then the rest, God will help you and will help all of us. Thank you.
Bismillah. Thank you very much for all those remarks. I agree with Ainte that if a society if they don't change themselves, Allah will not change their situation. Somalia will solve problems with Somalis themselves. Whatever we started, we did in Somalia, we always did with the Somali brothers, and I acted like one Somali, and with the brothers and sisters. You decided, even Somaliland talks, I told both sides that we are not imposing anything, you do yourself, we only facilitate. So international community particularly take this example. You know, I'll tell you one thing, that Turkey involvement, you know, we spent some money there, donation from Turkey. However, that international community spent probably 10 times more than us, but our impact is more than international communities. Because we are there. When I opened the embassy near K4, there was even no UN. So we take the risk, but at least we delivered something. So this would be an example. Thank you again to Heritage Foundation, Heritage Institute, and all the participants. Thank you very much.
Okay, and with that, please help me thank all of our panelists, and thank you all. waxaan idinka tagayaa waa mahadsantihiin. Theme-ku wuxuu ahaay xeerka dowladuhu say ugu socon doonaan. waxaa ka muuqata inaa xeerka kuweenna hoosena ku socon, kuwa gobolka iyo dhinaca regionka iyo dhinaca internationalkan loo socon. su-aasha waxay tahay adiga shakhsi ahaan ruleska ilaa intee ku socotaa, ruleska dalka aad joogto ama society-ga aad joogto ka dhex jira, adiga oo shakhsi ah inteed ku socotaa. Intaas kadib waxaa la igu yiri there is some surprise gift, I'm told, so I'll just stop here and I will call Absalam. Please, thank you very much all. Bye.